Welcome back, guys. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. This is JE Live. If you're new here, welcome. Hope you stick around. Be sure to hit that like button. Also, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We're talking about Ahkello Witherspoon. Unfortunately, he did go down yesterday with a broken clavicle. Now, I don't know for sure how long that is going to, proceed. I don't know how long the Rams are going to be without him. But the whole purpose of today's live stream and this show, JE Live, will be to cover what happens next, but also highlight that this isn't just a guy that you can go and replace. And I see that quite often, where I feel like there are a lot of people out there that just kind of assume, yeah, you can just go out and you can get somebody else and you can get somebody to replace him. I don't think it's that simple. And it's not just me coming from a place of, I obviously have great respect for Ahkello and I know how good he really is. But it's just the truth. What they do with Ahkello Witherspoon, well, I'll say this right now. They're going to miss him. They're going to miss him. They missed him yesterday. You didn't really notice it because the Rams' final score ends up being 33-19. But make no mistake about it, they missed four in that secondary. I think four gets, he gets the most out of everybody in that secondary. I've told you the communication is there. This is a team player. This is a guy who, if he was voted team captain, it would have made a lot of sense. And you can tell. I mean, it's kind of like this unselfish aspect of it, kind of taking Emmanuel Forbes under his wing, as the Rams social media team kind of showed you last year with that post. But yeah, I think Forbes, his play suffered when Ahkello came out. And it was one of those things where when I was watching the game and you see 31 come back in, Darius Williams, I got to be honest with you. I think Darius Williams needs to start moving forward, and he should probably be CB1. And I know that sounds weird, but I think there are a lot of different things that you can implement when Ahkello's in there. And, players can play off Ahkello, similar to like how I always use the example of a Antonio Cromartie playing off Darrelle Revis. The thing about Ahkello Witherspoon is that you can throw him on an island with no safety help, and you don't have to worry about that side of the field. It really makes it easy on anybody to play off him and play on the other side. However, when you don't have that player, well, now this is a team that's trying to win the Super Bowl. This is a team that should win the Super Bowl, and this is a team that can't afford to be doing, pet projects and all of that and experimenting. There's no experimenting. The reality of the situation is this. I like Emmanuel Forbes as much as the next guy. I didn't think he was terrible in this game by any stretch, but you did see he got exposed when 4 came out of the game. What I'll say is this. I think Emmanuel Forbes is a good player in this league. I think he's got a ton of potential. But against the Philadelphia Eagles, going up against an A.J. Brown, going up against a Devontae Smith, I'll take the guys that actually saw them back in January. I'll take the guys that shut them down. I don't get Ahkello Witherspoon, yes. But I do get, Darius Williams, who is playing at an incredibly high level, to end the season, and Kobe Durant. And not only that, they're both playing well right now as it is. So these are my 2 starters. Realistically, that's what I think. But we're also going to be talking about who comes after that, because I think that's the issue. Ahkello goes down with an injury. It's a broken clavicle, and a quick Google search will have you feeling like he's going to miss about 6 to 12 weeks. I tend to believe he'll be back in the second half of the season at some point. That bye week, week 8, is going to help for sure. But I think they'll have him. I think they'll have him for down the stretch, and I think that honestly could be a blessing in disguise. That's a lot of time off, and we saw what happened last year. Ahkello plays. He really stepped up at the end of last year. Just an absolute demon in the secondary, and I made a video on it and how he really just kind of shut down every single receiver he faced. I mean, you go back to A.J. Brown only allowing a catch for 5 yards. Nico Collins, week 1, a catch for 4. Devontae Smith, a catch for 7. Justin Jefferson, a catch for 1. He was only allowing pretty much 1 catch, on the top receiver, right, that he was going up against. So this is a really, really good player that they're going to be without. But I do believe that they will get him back at some point this season. I don't think his season's over. And that's the good news. And I don't know for sure, but I mean, they would tell us if his season was over. I believe he'll be back second half of the year, and I'm excited for that. But in the meantime, the Rams do have quite a few games that they have to play before they get 4 back. And that does mean they need a plan. I think this week, your plan needs to be this. Darius Williams needs to start alongside Kobe Durant. Those are the guys that you're going to start. Emmanuel Forbes can get in and play some, have some snaps, but these to me are your 2 starters right now moving forward. Okay? Now, there are a lot of people out there that don't seem to understand when it comes to the star position. That's not a 12th guy on the field. I'm not saying that you think that, but I'm saying I hear quite often, oh, well, we put him in the star and then we get a slot. The star is basically the slot. So you can't just say we'll put Emmanuel Forbes in the slot because that role is occupied right now by Quentin Lake, and he's doing a damn good job of it. I think he's become a much better player. So with that said, who comes after Quentin Lake? That is Josh Wallace, who actually logged a few snaps yesterday, and I think we're going to start to see number 30 get an opportunity. That said, what happens now? The Rams only kept 4 cornerbacks on their roster. Josh Wallace is listed as a cornerback / safety. He's only played safety, in the last however many games he's played in. But they could look at him as a corner. His role, I don't believe, changes. He's going to be the backup star. So what happens after that? Well, you have 2 guys on your practice squad. And you would have loved to keep Darian Kendrick, but he was signed by the Seattle Seahawks. He actually had an interception yesterday off Aaron Rodgers and almost had a second interception, so good for him. They also wanted to keep Charles Woods, who really showed out. He made the 53 last year, UDFA at SMU. He was picked up by the Patriots, right? So here's the thing. Those 2 guys are gone. Now, at some point, they could become available. I'm not saying that they can't. Darian Kendrick is very unlikely to be available. I think he's going to be on the Seahawks the rest of the year. Charles Woods could be dropped, and I could see the Rams going after him. The problem with Charles Woods is he's not really a boundary corner. He's more of a guy that you would have in the star, like the slot, right? So I look at in-house, and I see the first guy that I think of is A.J. Green. I believe A.J. Green was good enough to make this 53. He had practice reps against the Saints starters. He was playing with the ones at times in that joint practice. I think A.J. Green is going to be the guy that they add to the 53, and rightfully so. He's a good player. He's got length. He's got size. He can play on the outside. And honestly, he was fantastic in preseason. Fantastic. So A.J. Green, I believe, is the guy that they will pick up. The question is, are they going to add another guy to the 53? And that guy would be Cameron Lampkin, who, by the way, led every corner in preseason for forced incompletions. Or are they going to find somebody else? Or are they going to just activate him on game day and call him up from the practice squad? Now, that is what I think they're going to do. See, the reason they had 4 corners and they only kept 4 is because Sean McVay felt they had 4 starters. And I would agree with that. I think all 4 are starters. But here's the deal. Now that Ahkello is out, you have Emmanuel Forbes, who hasn't really proven a ton. And again, is more so you can play him when Ahkello's out there, but can you continue to play him? That remains to be seen. But you have Kobe. You know what you have in Darius. So now A.J. Green might not be enough to replace Ahkello. And he's not enough to replace Ahkello. He's not going to start over Ahkello. He is going to replace the roster spot. He won't replace Ahkello. So do you want to add 2 corners? And I would say yes. So I think we're going to see Cameron Lampkin activated off the practice squad for game day. That's how I see that. So he won't be on the 53. They'll probably use that 3 times. And then if they have to, they'll sign him to the active roster. But I think A.J. Green gets the 53-man roster spot. Now, that might not be the sexy, fun, exciting option because I know a lot of fans the way it is with any sport, people like player movement. They like the new jersey. They like the new helmet. People like player movement. They do. Why do you think we're all, obsessed with trade deadlines, free agency? We love player movement. We like new things. But what if I told you that the best course of action for the Rams is to stick by the guys that they currently have in-house, to stick by the guys that already know the defense, to stick by the guys that already have the same teammates and they have that chemistry, to stick by the guys that they're working with week in and week out? Because the practice squad isn't just a vacation, and it's not just a bench. These guys are part of scout teams. These guys get involved. They're constantly around. So that's the thing. You got to stick to your in-house guys. You can't, on one hand, say, wow, we have such great depth. Our depth is great. We have the best depth in the league. We had more players that were claimed off waivers after preseason than any other team, which tells us that we have the best depth. But then on the other hand, say, nope, we need to go out and sign Stephon Gilmore today. Well, that's ridiculous. By the way, did you guys watch the rest of the game that are saying to sign Stephon Gilmore? Like it's a job? Darius Williams was really good. He was. I do believe right now he's probably their best corner. He's the best bet. So I hear that all the time, and I'm just trying to be, a realist here. And it's not being a homer. It's realizing they have really good depth. That's what they have. It's not even just the cornerback room. Yesterday, Fisk, right? He was dealing with something. He only played like 15 snaps. Well, Ty Davis stepped up in a big way. He had some pressures in that game, right? How about Josiah Stewart, the third-round rookie who played in preseason? There are some guys that didn't even play in preseason. He played in preseason. He had 2 pressures yesterday, including his first career sack. He looked great. Byron Young. Everyone's talking about Jared Verse. Byron Young was outstanding yesterday. Nick Hampton had a really nice play, and he got on the defensive side. He got to play, right? Guys stepped up. Cam Kinchins was the leading tackler. So they have plenty of depth, and you just have to trust in it. And that includes guys that are on the practice squad. Cam Lampkin can play in this league. I'm surprised he wasn't claimed. I'll tell you right now, to add to this further, the Rams are going to have to make a move. They're going to have to protect A.J. Green and Cameron Lampkin, the only 2 cornerbacks that are currently on their practice squad. And do you know why? If you weren't paying attention, Jalen Johnson, one of the better corners in football, is also hurt. So it's not just the Rams dealing with injuries here with Ahkello. The Cardinals had 3 injuries in the cornerback room. They already had an injury before the season started. Their cornerback room is depleted. The Bears are depleted. They have so many injuries in the secondary, including Jalen Johnson. There are teams dealing with injuries. Did you see Ward? Denzel Ward got hurt yesterday for the Browns. So it's all over the league already. It's week 2. And we're already seeing a lot of injuries in the cornerback room. So the Rams can't afford to have another hiccup where they don't protect their guys, and then all of a sudden they're losing, like they did last week, they're losing a running back who was on their 53 to open the season, and they're losing him to the Jaguars. They can't afford to have that. Like Alex brings up, Arizona possibly lost 3 corners yesterday. If you think for a second Arizona isn't trying to sign A.J. Green, or they're not going out and they're trying to get Cam Lampkin, and they're not trying to better their team, I don't know what to tell you. That's what they're doing. It's not just them either. Again, the Browns, Denzel Ward, they're going to be, because you can say, yeah, I don't think the Browns are good. They lost 41-17. Yes, you're right. I don't think the Browns are good either. I think they have a chance to pick number 1. That said, the Browns aren't giving up 2 weeks into the season. A GM has to protect his job. A head coach has to protect his job. They're not giving up. So if they have a chance to get better and go out and get a corner, they're going to do that. The Falcons, we forgot about that. AJ Terrell went down with an injury. So there's a lot. Yes, Surtain got hurt. There's a lot of corners that already are dealing with stuff. So you have to be diligent here. You can't have this be a commonality where people are just like, oh, I'll just go to the Rams practice squad, because we know that they know how to develop talent better than we do. No, you can't be that team. This isn't, take a penny, leave a penny. Because guess what? They're not leaving a penny. They're just taking your penny. That's what they're doing. So I look at AJ Green. I look at the athletic profile, the body. He can work on the outside. Really like that. Cameron Lampkin, UDF out of Washington State. Last year didn't make the team. And then he was on the practice squad. And then they were really excited to work with him. Just like AJ Green, by the way. AJ Green, I heard multiple times from people. They were saying, this guy can make it. And they're excited to work with him. And that's what those futures deals are. They're just excited to work with certain players, certain archetypes, whatever. They do a nice job on the practice squad, and then they transfer over to the 90-man roster, and they get a chance to make the 53. So they like what they have. These aren't just guys that it's like, oh, I guess those are the leftovers. I think there's no doubt about it, the Rams would have signed all 4 corners because their cornerback depth was crazy. They would have signed all 4 corners if Darion Kendrick made it through waivers. And, of course, Charles Woods. But that's not what happened. Sean Jolly, by the way, is a free agent. He's not on the practice squad currently. He's on what I would call speed dial. But here's the problem with Sean Jolly. He's not an outside corner. He's another star guy. So I think they add Sean Jolly to the practice squad to replace AJ Green. I think AJ Green goes to the 53. And I think Cameron Lampkin is a game day active. I think he gets called up from the practice squad, but they don't sign him to 53. That's what I think. But that said, people want to know, and look, I want to provide all the information I can to help you make, your decision, your call, make you feel good about the situation, whatever, give you insight. So I personally believe AJ Green and Cam Lampkin, this is what the Rams are going to go with, and I think this is what they should go with, at least to start. If it doesn't work out, then you can go and make a move. That said, what are some other options? I know some people are wondering, is there anybody else? Yeah. I mentioned Jolly. He's a free agent. Stephon Gilmore's 35, former Defensive Player of the Year, 5-time Pro Bowler. I know a lot of Rams fans want him. Here's the deal. I don't like Stephon Gilmore. I don't like his play style. And in addition to that, I don't like the idea of paying him top dollar when he's 35. And I'm not trying to replace Ahkello here. Ahkello will be back at some point later in the year. I don't need to go out and get Stephon Gilmore. And I'm not going to give him $10 million a year when the Rams have $12 million in cap space that has to last them the rest of the season. So he's an option, but I wouldn't go that route. Kendall Fuller would be a good fit. He's an option. He's a former starter. He had 11 starts last year for the Dolphins. I think he fits their scheme. He has familiarity with Sean McVay and Chris Shula, I believe, for that matter. That said, he's going to be expensive. He's a proven talent. So that's the thing. He's a proven talent. I personally don't think the Rams are willing to spend top dollar for any of these guys. But Kendall Fuller, I think, is a better option than Gilmore. Then you have Michael Davis. Also, he has familiarity with Forbes, and he has familiarity with Cam Curl, which is kind of cool. Michael Davis is another option. 6'2", boundary guy, really good in the run game. He's not the best coverage guy, though. And that's the thing. If you want a corner that can just come up and play the run, Michael Davis is your guy. He'd be cheaper. He could be an option. We'll see. Emmanuel Mosley, former Lion cornerback, ACL issues, really kind of a slot guy. So I don't know if he's really a fit. Then on the practice squad, I did some scanning around the league, and I found some guys I liked on practice squads. Kobe Bryant, who the Rams they met with, I believe, during the pre-draft process. You see my Kansas banner in the back. I had to mention Kobe Bryant, but I knew that the Rams had met with him and they liked him in the draft, so I figured I'd throw him out there. Plus, he'd be coming from the Falcons practice squad, where Raheem Morris would be able to give the Rams, he'd be able to give them a report on what they think about him. Anyway, with AJ Terrell going down, I don't know how serious the injury is. I don't know what is going to happen there. Kobe Bryant might not be in play. They might add him to the 53. But if they don't protect him here, this would be a sneaky move by the Rams to just add a guy that, could be on your practice squad, could turn into something. He was a ball hawk in college, 13 interceptions at KU. And he's got a slender frame, kind of similar to Emmanuel, Forbes, but he's a taller corner, and I think he'd be good depth for the team. I think he'd fit what they're doing, and a lot of people wanted him in the draft. So he had some injuries in camp that I think kind of threw him off, but this is a player that I'd keep an eye on. And again, none of these guys are going to replace Ahkello. The guy who's taking his role, I believe, is Darius Williams. So we're talking about roster spots here. How do you make your cornerback room better? Kobe Bryant could help if you want to add somebody to the practice. Well, you'd have to add him to 53, so you couldn't add him to the practice squad. So that would be that. Kalen King, Panthers practice squad, right? Kind of a rotational nickel guy, just somebody that I think has some pretty good upside, and 22 years old. He's, of course, with Jonathan Cooley, and who's a former Ram coach, as well as Ejiro Evero. So I tried to keep it kind of like in the familiarity section there. Are they likely going to pick up Kalen King? I don't know. I would probably say no. But I think Kobe Bryant would be a better option. But I do like Kalen King. I came away really liking, by the way, Corey Ballantyne from the Patriots practice squad. Maybe get them back from taking Charles Woods. So, he's been around the block, Packers, Jets, Patriots, I believe Giants as well. But he joined the practice squad post free agency in August. And, he's played 69 games in this league. He has 37, games on special teams. He was a special teams ace. But you look at him, he's kind of a veteran glue guy. Good man coverage guy. I think he could really help them. He's a really good tackler. This is one of those kind of, if you remember, they got that guy who's now, his name is totally escaping me, but they got that guy from the Vikings a couple years back. And that, to me, is kind of what I would see there. Corey Ballantyne could carve in himself a role. He's on the Patriots practice squad. The number 4 here, probably my favorite fit, just because I love the player. I love what he brings to the table. I love the energy. He kind of reminds me of a Nickel Roby-Coleman. Beanie Bishop from the Steelers practice squad. He had a great preseason. He had an interception in the postseason. He had 2 interception game his rookie year. I mean, the Steelers really liked him. They just felt they were loaded at the position. Now adding a veteran in Darius Slay, it only kind of pushed him out the door, but he's still in the building. He was waived and re-signed not long after. I was surprised he actually made it through waivers. Thought he would have been, claimed. Probably one of the top guys. Him and Jalen Armour Davis, the Ravens. But with Beanie Bishop, he's more of a slot guy. So can he play on the outside? I don't know, but I like the player. And if you're looking for depth, I really wouldn't be against adding a guy like Beanie Bishop. I think he'd be a good player. I think he'd fit. And I think that's a guy that Sean McVay would be obsessed with, because that is a coach's dream right there. He is a fun player to watch if you've never watched him before. And then last but not least, a former Patriot who's on the Texans practice squad, Miles Bryant. Really known for being kind of a feisty inside-outside corner. Plays the run really well. Also has some special teams value as a punt returner. Now, I mean, I don't know how that looks. The Texans have him and Damon Arnett. I'm not interested in Arnett. He didn't work out, right? But Miles Bryant's an interesting one. I feel like if the Rams go out and they get somebody off the practice squad, it's going to be one of these 5 guys. Just going through the league, these are the 5 best fits. I mean, there were some guys that I liked just in the draft, but I don't know if they're much of a fit. You're not going to find boundary guys. Like, honestly, I think the best fit for the Rams is AJ Green to try and replace that kind of style of Ahkello Witherspoon. He's not anything like Witherspoon, but like that type of style, you're not really going to get that out of anybody on a practice squad. So the Rams, they are going to get plucked. If they're not careful, they are going to be losing these guys. That's the thing. So hopefully they are careful. And then trade guys, because there are people that want to trade for guys. It is week 3, folks. Week 3. No team wants to trade anybody. Because I see it. I mean, I know we've talked about it in the past. Greg Newsome. The Browns aren't trading Greg Newsome, not after Denzel Ward got banged up. You're not going to find any team that wants to trade a corner right now. You're just not. It's week 3. Some of these teams don't know that they're going to be terrible. That's just the reality of it. So, yeah. And then Asante Samuel Jr. I don't think I brought him up. I know a lot of people want him. He's been wanted by Rams fans for a while. The problem with Asante Samuel Jr., the injuries and how gambling, how much of a gambler he is. I don't think the Rams want that. I don't. I think the Rams want a guy that's going to play steady football. They're not asking for a game changer here. They're trying to stop the bleeding. I mean, the title of this live stream was called Rams Place Ahkello Witherspoon on IR, What Happens Now? The thumbnail was, can they survive with Ahkello on the cover? The Rams are trying to survive this. That's the thing. When you look at Asante Samuel Jr., he's had significant injuries. I think he had to get a spinal, is a fusion. He's had significant injuries. I don't think they go anywhere near him. I don't. I think they are going to do exactly what I was saying earlier. They are going to add AJ Green to the 53. They are going to call up Cam Lampkin, and they will monitor the situation as the season goes on. That's what I think is going to happen. If they have to go out and get somebody, by all means. We know they have plenty of draft capital to do it. Now, the way the season works is sometimes guys get frustrated, they get disgruntled, and all of a sudden, just like that, a Micah Parsons is available. That said, the Rams, they loved their cornerback room before Ahkello got hurt. So I don't think that they're trying to upgrade anything. I think they like what they have, and now they're just trying to survive. And that, to me, is the smart move. Survive. Use the depth that you said is great, you know is great, and move forward. That simple. Alex, now we can trade for Pat Surtain. Super realistic. Yes, I know you're saying this ironically or, kind of like making a joke. I know there's some people that think you're serious, though, so I wanted to clear that up. But no, it is funny. Yeah, we can't be looking at it like it's Madden. It's not that simple, but obviously appreciate you, Alex. Gilmore is a free agent, and he can say that way. Or he could go to another team. I don't want Stephon Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore's a free agent because he doesn't want to play unless he's going to make $10 million. And that is his right. It's his prerogative. I have no issue with that, right? Veterans played a long time. He's basically told us he doesn't think it's worth playing football without making $10 million a year. That's fine. I personally don't think he's worth paying $10 million a year. I don't. I think Ahkello Witherspoon is better than he is. I think the fact is that, he has a defensive player of the year in his resume and he has Pro Bowls. But what is he right now? He's a solid player. I don't think he's better than any of the top 4 that they had. Maybe he's better than Forbes. We'll see. And FIFO, appreciates you becoming a YouTube member. And I see here you have a YU alumni. Can you adopt me? Jets sucks. All right. All right, here's the deal. Chat, many of you know, I do a Yankees podcast called Yankees Unloaded. Now we have a Yankees fan who was a Jets fan who's asking the Rams fans to take him onto the Rams family, the bandwagon. Do you accept him? Drop it in the chat. I'll always say yes. I don't care. Bandwagon or not, do not care. The more the merrier. Welcome to the party. Now you just need a Rams jersey and a Rams hat and you're good. We always welcome that. I see some welcome. See, that's the thing. I'll always take more fans. But the fact that you came from Yankees Unloaded, even better. So, absolutely welcome. Just make sure he wipes down the bad juju the Jets have. Yeah. It is funny. I covered the Jets in 2022. Great fans, but that organization is run by one of the dumbest owners in sports history. Woody Johnson has no idea what he is doing. And unfortunately, Jets fans deserve better, and I don't know if they're ever going to receive better. I just don't know. It's not a good time. But appreciate you. You're absolutely more than welcome. I look forward to seeing you in JE Lives in the future. And yes, my dad knows. Welcome, Dad. Appreciate you being in here. Yeah, this is true. This is absolutely true. So my father and I will be at the Lions game. I'll be at both 49er games, hoping to see everybody there. Damn. See? It's a small world, man. It's a small. We love the New York Rams fans. You gotta love it. Representing. I appreciate it. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like they're going to be without 3 starting corners, and that's not good. That's not good. So I think that's the thing I'm most focused on when it comes to the Rams is right now, you don't want to lose these corners that you've developed. You don't want to lose these corners that you actually need now to a rival or whoever. So I hope they're diligent. And I shouldn't be saying that, but they just lost Cody Schrader. Like after him being on the 53, they just lost him to Jacksonville. So like I don't feel like I should have to say this, but now I feel like I do because they've already messed up. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I think right now, going into this Eagles game, I think the Eagles are incredibly lucky Ahkello's out. You're going to have Darius Williams step up. You're going to have Kobe Durant step up. They played well in the postseason. I don't see why they can't now. The big thing against the Eagles, and we'll get more into it as the week rolls on, but the big thing about the Philadelphia Eagles is that they're really not going to wow you. They're not trying to win games by scoring 50 points. If you look at the way they scored 24 in the first game against the Cowboys should have won the game. And then they scored 20 against the Chiefs. I think clearly the Rams have more explosive talent. I do. And like Jalen Hurts or Matthew Stafford, right? They have Saquon Barkley. Absolutely. Like, no doubt. But would you rather have Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown right now or have Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams? I don't think it's even close. Puka Nacua looks like the best receiver in the league right now, currently. The tight ends, you could give the Eagles that one with Dallas Goedert, for sure. The offensive line, you can give the Eagles. The defensive line, I think you give the Rams. I do. The linebackers, you give the Eagles. But I think the Rams linebackers look really good. And the secondary, I think you give the Rams. when Ahkello is healthy. Now, the thing is, you can throw on this Eagles team. You can. Did you guys happen to see Tyquan Thornton wide open down the seam and Mahomes missed him? It didn't matter because he was open again and then Mahomes hit him. You can throw on this Eagles team. You can. So, that's the thing. You can throw on the Eagles team. The Rams defense looks really good. I will say this, because we'll get more into it as the week goes on. I'm going to have, speaking of Yankees Unloaded, I'm going to have Gary Sheffield Jr., my co-host of Yankees Unloaded, come on. He's actually just getting his Eagles channel off the ground, Eagles Unloaded. So I'm going to have him come on, and we're going to do a preview for the game. But I have to end this with this, and I'll say this. One sec. So I'll say this. When it comes to the Eagles, I'm looking forward to this game. I'm really bummed Ahkello won't be out there. That said, what I'm really not looking forward to, and I know I'm not the only one who feels this way, is the tush push, the brotherly shove, the rugby scrum. Do I care that it hasn't been banned? No. I actually don't care at all that it hasn't been banned. What I care about is when I'm watching that game yesterday against the Chiefs, and I am not a Chiefs fan, so let's make that very clear. I'm seeing a clear, biased disadvantage by the officials. That play is not officiated the same way every time. Only the Eagles are allowed to run that play. As somebody that covers the Rams and is a diehard Rams fan, I'll be the first one to tell you that I've watched the 49ers run that play exactly how the Eagles run it, and they've gotten hit with, last year they got hit with a illegal formation and a false start. Let's just call it like it is. Let's just call a spade a spade. The Eagles ran it 11 times yesterday. Is that what it was? I want to find... Because, I mean, the play is just getting to be out of hand because it's just not officiated properly. It's not that it's a dominant play. It's because the Rams have stopped it multiple times. It's that it is absolutely not a legal NFL play. It's not officiated. The way that they do it in that iteration is not officiated. My bad. 7 tush pushes yesterday. That makes for 11.7% of the offensive snaps for the Eagles. That is ridiculous. Now, I understand people are going to say, Jake, why are you complaining? Rams haven't played them yet, whatever. No. I'm not complaining about the Eagles having the tush push. I have no issue. What I have an issue with is how the NFL has marketed the Eagles as the only team that can do the tush push. Every time I hear, oh, isn't it weird? Only the Eagles can do this play. That is not true. I watched the 49ers do it twice and get 2 penalties, and the same penalties that they were called on, they didn't call it on the Eagles. They never do. It is ridiculous. I'm watching guys lunge across the neutral zone as the ball is being snapped. Lunge across. Before the ball snapped. It's a false start. And they're saying that play isn't reviewable. Ridiculous. It's a false start. If the officials actually officiated that play in the right way, no one would care that it's legal. Because if you have a false start, boom, now it's an illegal play. As long as you throw the flag, I'm okay with it. It would deter them from doing it. The reality is the Eagles have a play that they ran 7 times yesterday, and their course of action on the offense is just to get to 3rd and short. They're essentially unbeatable when they get to 3rd and short. And I see this, and I get what you're saying. totally understand what you're saying. That said, James, these are two of the best teams in football. You're going to get to a position where the tush push can be an issue. It's a game of inches, and if it's the Rams-Eagles, this game's probably coming down to the wire and could be decided on that. So it is one of those things where don't let yourself, I mean, you're kind of going to, when you play a really good team, you're not going to just blow them out and have it not, matter. So, I mean, again, I don't want to come off like I feel like it should be banned. I don't. I actually don't think it should be banned. I just think it should be officiated properly, and it's not. And that I'm not looking forward to. And I'm not a fan of how obsessed the media is with the Eagles. I'm just not a fan of it. I like Jalen Hurts as much as the next guy. I met him, at their Senior Bowl and everything. I like Jalen Hurts. I've defended Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts had 101 passing yards yesterday. 101. The Eagles aren't incredibly fun to watch. So, that said, you're going to get a physical team, that, but yeah, I hope it just doesn't end on that BS. And again, would I have any issue if they actually called it offsides or false start or, neutral zone infraction? No, I wouldn't care. But that's the thing. I don't care that, Jalen Hurts is getting shoved by the running back. I don't care. You can do that. Kyron Williams yesterday almost had a touchdown. The entire offensive line was trying to push him in the end zone. You could push them. You can do that. I don't care about that. I just care about getting an unfair advantage where you get a false start like that. A game that it's all about get off, and you're telling me that now the Eagles get to... Not only that, they're diving into my defensive players' knees. I'm not a fan of that either. I think it's a dangerous play. So for that reason, I am... I guess in favor of it being banned just for player safety alone. But yeah, I don't know. It is ridiculous. The NFL isn't going to do anything about it this year. They probably will ban it next year. But yeah, I just don't call it the same way for everyone else. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, we'll get to that over the course of the week. We'll be talking about the Rams Eagles. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. And appreciate Sleeper for sponsoring the channel as always. You can use my code JKB and you'll get $100 match on your first deposit. So that is awesome. We did some decent things on Sleeper on the downtown Rams. Didn't get everything right. Didn't get the Jordan Whittington touchdown. We came close. We didn't quite get it. But you guys can get on the action. There's 2 games today, right? There's 2 games today, so you can get on the action with Sleeper. Download the app. Link is in the description below. Use the code JKB. Basically lets them know that I sent you, and you end up getting a up to $100 bonus match. So we love that. But touchdowns, passing yards, rushing yards, receiving yards. We're always talking about, I think this guy's going to be, I think this guy, whatever. If you feel that way, well, there you go. So check it out. Again, Sleeper, code JKB. Shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring this episode and every other episode they sponsor. So, in conclusion, I think the Rams are in a tough spot, but I think they'll prevail. I think they're going to be okay. But I need to, if you take anything away from this video, take away the fact that not having Ahkello Witherspoon is significant. They're going to have to blitz more. That's just the reality of it. He hid a lot of different things the defense didn't have to do, and now they have to do it. Blitzing, for instance, allowing him to be on an island and not have a safety helping him over the top. So now you can use that safety, whether you want to use him as a chess piece in the middle, you want to have him blitz, whatever. Now you have to be a little bit more creative. It's going to cause Chris Shula to have to think outside the box here. It's ultimately why I was so pissed last year when they started Trey White over Ahkello Witherspoon. They paid Trey White over Ahkello Witherspoon because he is, and he does, provide a lot of flexibility for this team. And, that's going to be something that they miss here. So Darius Williams, I would start. I think they're going to with Kobe Durant. I would rotate in a Forbes, but I'm curious to see how much play Josh Wallace gets. He finally got some snaps this past week. We'll see. Quentin Lake is the star, but how much will Josh Wallace get in? They really like him, as I've said before. But yeah, if you take anything away, take away what they're missing out on with Ahkello, but also the fact there is not a soul that you can go and pick up at cornerback that is going to accurately replace Ahkello. There's not a soul. So that's the thing, man. There's not a soul that you're going to, find to replace Ahkello Witherspoon, offer the things that he offers, have the speed, have the athleticism, have the length, right? The football acumen. There's not anybody out there that you're going to be able to find right now in week 3 to replace Ahkello Witherspoon. So they're just going to have to figure it out. That's just the reality of it. Going to be a tough week to not have Ahkello against this Eagles team, but I think the Rams can win this game. I'm starting to feel like the Rams are going to win this game. Initially, I was going to pick the Eagles. I had the Eagles preseason, but I feel like just watching the Eagles and the Rams the last 2 weeks, I think the Rams are just a better team. Now, I could be wrong, but I think Stafford is significantly better than Jalen Hurts. So we'll see what ends up happening, but appreciate y'all tuning in. We're going to have more JE Lives, maybe even another one later today. So keep an eye out. Keep your notifications on. If you don't have your notifications on, be sure to hit the bell icon and you won't miss another JE Live. But that is going to do it for me. So I appreciate you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll see you soon. Later, folks.